In communities large and small across America, public media has been a constant presence on the airwaves. Now, a sudden financial shock has thrown this trusted institution into a fight for its very survival. This is the story of the scramble to keep public media afloat. For decades, the federal government has played a key role in supporting public radio and television stations. This support flows through a private nonprofit called the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, or CPB, which was authorized by Congress in 1967. The CPB distributes federal funds to more than 1,500 local public television and radio stations, forming the financial backbone of the system. But that backbone has been shattered. Following the passage of the Rescissions Act of 2025, a staggering $1.1 billion in funding for PBS and NPR stations over the next 2 years was eliminated. In response, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting announced it would be forced to shut down, with operations expected to cease around September 30, 2025. This has triggered an immediate and existential crisis for the local stations that rely on this funding to operate. Experts are now warning of a potential doom loop. The initial closure of an estimated 115 local stations could trigger a domino effect. As stations go dark, the entire system has less money to create the programming that attracts audiences and donors, leading to even more closures. The impact of this defunding isn't spread evenly. The most vulnerable stations are often the ones serving smaller, rural, and indigenous communities. For these, federal funding from the CPB can make up over 30% of their entire budget. An estimated 115 of these stations are now at immediate risk, threatening the primary and sometimes only source of local news for 43 million people. Beyond the loss of news and cultural programming, there's another critical service at risk: public safety. The CPB was managing a vital program called the Next Generation Warning System. Created in 2022 with a $136 million appropriation, this grant program was designed to upgrade emergency alert equipment, especially in rural and disaster-prone areas. With the CPB's closure, the distribution of the remaining funds is in jeopardy. This leaves communities vulnerable, without the modern, life-saving alert systems they were promised. The CPB has urged FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, to take over the program, but its future remains uncertain. The argument from the Trump administration and proponents of the cuts is that in today's vast and diverse media landscape, federal funding for news media is simply unnecessary. For years, some critics have also argued that public media carries a liberal bias. But advocates for public media see it differently. They argue that local stations are trusted community anchors, providing essential services that go far beyond news. They point out that federal funding is a powerful investment, with every $1 from the government leveraging nearly 7 more from other sources, like individual donors and local businesses. They see the loss of this funding as a direct threat to local journalism and the public's access to reliable information, a dangerous development in an era of widespread misinformation. The financial ripple effect will be felt even by the largest players in public media, like NPR and PBS. While they receive a smaller portion of their budgets directly from the CPB, they depend on local member stations to pay for the programs they produce. As local stations disappear, so does a critical revenue stream for the entire network. In the face of this crisis, a powerful coalition has stepped in to try and stop the bleeding. A group of major philanthropic organizations, including the Knight Foundation, the MacArthur Foundation, and Pivotal Ventures, led by Melinda Gates, have committed nearly $37 million in emergency funding.
Their goal is to stabilize the most at-risk stations and buy them precious time. A large portion of this money, about $26.5 million, is being channeled into a new public media bridge fund. Managed by the Public Media Company, this fund will provide grants, low-interest loans, and expert advice to help stations navigate the crisis. The fund's ambitious goal is to raise $100 million over the next 2 years. But the leaders of this philanthropic effort are clear. This is a temporary bridge, not a permanent solution. It cannot replace the scale and stability of federal funding. The immediate focus is a race against time to get emergency funds to the most vulnerable stations before they are forced to go off the air for good. This crisis is forcing a painful but necessary conversation about the future of public media in the United States. Stations are now being pushed to consider new, more sustainable business models. This could include merging with other stations or pooling resources to cut down on costs. The scramble is on, not just for money, but for a new vision of what public media can be. While the emergency funding provides a crucial lifeline, the long-term future for many of the local stations that have served their communities for generations remains deeply uncertain. The outcome of this struggle will determine whether public media can adapt and survive, or if a trusted voice in countless American communities will be silenced.